Major League Baseball returned to Fenway last night for the first time since the pandemic began, looking a lot different than we're used to. None of the usual crowds along Lansdowne Street, not a single fan in the stands as the Sox took on the Blue Jays in the first of two exhibition games before their first regular season game this Friday. And by regular season, I mean anything but. Instead of playing the usual 162 games, teams will play just 60 this year over 67 days, and only playing others within their own geographical regions. And there are a slew of new rules designed to make the games go faster, like no players or coaches leaving their positions to argue with umpires. And if the game goes into extra innings, get this, a runner starts on second base. Plus, there'll be coronavirus testing every other day for both players and coaches, with other key staff being tested multiple times per week. And unlike tests for the general public, these will be turned around within 24 hours by the league. Certainly an adjustment for everyone, but the general consensus after last night was that it was just nice to hear play ball again at Fenway, even if the player introductions with the piped-in crowd noise felt a little odd at first.
Batting ninth, the second baseman, number 3, Jose Peraza. And pitching for the Red Sox, number 65, Ryan Weber.
I'll take it. I'm joined now in the shadows of Fenway by the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, Sam Kennedy. Sam, congratulations, and it's good to see you.
Great to see you, Jim. Last time I saw you, we were shaving our heads right before the pandemic broke.
Good timing, I think, too, frankly.
Yeah.
So how weird was last night, Sam?
It was so odd. I've been coming to Fenway since I was a kid and never seen a game without any fans here. Eerie feeling, but it was great to get the game back on the field and hopefully get back to a little bit of normalcy during this crazy period.
What was the weirdest? The no sausage, the no beer, the piped-in music? What was the thing that really caused you to do a double take?
You know, it has to be the energy from the crowd. We're so lucky here at Fenway. We have the best fans in baseball, and to not have that human element, it was just odd. On television, I think it was a good presentation, and we will get better with it as we go on, but very odd to have baseball played with no fans.
Are you guys doing the cutouts of fans and you plop them in the seats? I love that. You're not doing that?
We're doing it on the Green Monster for our foundation. So if you put yourself up there and you get hit with a home run ball, you win the chance to come and throw out the first pitch next year, and all in good fun. But we're not doing the cutouts all over the place. We're showing the beauty of Fenway.
By the way, I didn't even think to ask you this, but since you brought it up, who's throwing out the first pitch on Friday? I know Fauci's doing it for the Nationals, Dr. Fauci. Who's doing it for you guys?
Well, I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you, so I can't do that because we need you. But it is someone you know, and I think people in the Boston community know well, someone who's a great story of resiliency, and we're excited to see them on opening night.
Can't wait. So I described very briefly how you're protecting both the players, your staff, all the workers there. Fill in a couple of blanks. What's the protocol?
Yeah, Major League Baseball worked hard on a 120-page document that governs all of the health and safety protocols. It's really all about testing. There's a lab that Major League Baseball converted in Utah, believe it or not, and we are all engaging in saliva tests that get sent out overnight and then read, and then we get the test results back the next day. So a quick turnaround time. So far, so good, but we have to be diligent about masking, hand sanitizer, washing your hands, social distancing, all the things that we've all been talking about the last 4 months. That's the only way this thing's going to work. Only way we can pull it off is if we're diligent.
And no spitting, but I assume most people wearing a mask aren't going to want to spit anyway, so I think that's pretty obvious. You know, so what happens? I know you had a couple of players test positive before they came to what I guess is being called summer camp at Fenway. What happens if someone tests positive during the season? What happens to the rest of the players and staff?
Yeah, they are. If we have a test positive, that person is immediately isolated. We actually have an isolation room here at Fenway. They are then sent observed by a doctor, and then they have to test negative 2 times 24 hours spread apart from each other. So we'll be ready for that and assume that will happen. And the key to winning the World Series this year is staying off that COVID injured list.
Yeah.
That's going to be the difference.
So today on the radio, Sam Kenny, I had a huge Red Sox fan. He's born in Framingham. He's now America's premier medical ethicist. He's at NYU School of Medicine, Art Kaplan. And we were talking about baseball, and I told him you were going to be on tonight. And I said, what would you say to Sam Kennedy? And here's what he said. He said, simple advice. Stop traveling, pick a couple of places, play there, figure a way to make it more bubble-like. Essentially saying, don't go to hot spots like Miami and Atlanta. Do what the NHL and NBA are doing. Why didn't baseball make that choice?
Well, it sounds like Art must be. He said he's a Red Sox fan, but maybe he's a Yankee fan with that comment, and he's from NYU, so you never know. But look, we looked at it. Believe it or not, the bubble concept was going to be Florida, Arizona, and Texas. So how foolish would that have looked at this particular moment in time? So frankly, we're glad to be in our home ballpark. The players are essentially isolating and quarantining at home and at the ballpark, regular testing. We know there's risk. Absolutely right that there is risk. The NBA and NHL are in a bubble environment. We are not, but we are limiting our travel to the East Coast. It will be difficult, but if we follow these protocols, we are optimistic that we can get a season in, but we know it's going to be difficult.
So if you go to a hotspot place like in Atlanta or like in Miami, essentially you go to the park, to the hotel, that's it, nothing else?
That's it. We're going to get to know each other very well over these next 2 months and really have some team bonding. In fact, we're not even going to be socializing together as a group that much. The players' arrival times are staggered. We don't even have a locker room. We have the players in the luxury suites. So it's an odd, unusual setup. But we feel passionate about bringing sports back and for the fans and for the baseball industry. So we're doing our best.
So speaking of fans, I mean, everybody's missing being at Fenway, but I think most people are pretty excited. There are going to be games to watch and players to cheer for. Here's Charlie Baker on July 2nd making the announcement that you guys could return to action. Here's the governor.
We have an order now in place which will authorize Phase 3 of our reopening plan to start on Monday. And that order will allow any professional sports team that's adopted COVID-19 health and safety precautions under league rules to hold games without spectators here in Massachusetts.
So, but a guy by the name of Sam Kennedy said recently, we hope to have fans in the stands at Fenway sometime this season. What do you know that I don't know?
Nothing, not much. We're in this position with positive data trends. The pandemic has been just horrific. Many of us personally impacted, affected with death and destruction and devastation, with human life, but also business devastation. It's been horrific. That said, I think we're in a position to consider bringing fans back into our parks on a limited basis at some point in the future. Of course, we're going to open up empty, but at some point we have the opportunity to, because Charlie Baker, Karen Polito, Marty Walsh, Catherine Burton have done such a great job managing this in terms of putting the rules and regulations out there. Now look at our data, look at our numbers. I think we are in a position to consider bringing fans back, whether it's August, September, we'll have to see. But it's critical to the baseball industry, for the NFL, for our other sports teams. It has to be a safe and the appropriate time. We have to prove that we can do it. But we think that the outdoor environment helps. But we also understand it's not our decision to make. The governor, lieutenant governor, the mayor will make that call.
You know, I know this is a sacrilege to say this because I have two home teams, the Phillies and the Red Sox. That's not the sacrilege. The sacrilege is I don't even care how you do. I just care how you play, that you play. I know that you care how you do. You lost a couple of big stars. You have some incredible young hitters. What's your honest and realistic prospect of how this 60-game season and hopefully playoffs are going to go?
Yeah, we reckon we've got a tremendous lineup, as you alluded to. Our pitching is, as Chaim Bloom described very well, unsettled right now. And
That's an honest assessment.
Very honest assessment. And so There may be opportunities prior to the trade deadline to upgrade. There may be opportunities for some young guys to step up. We got a great performance last night out of Ryan Weber. So we'll see. But we are looking up this year at the Yankees and Tampa. It's going to be a battle. But with a short sample size, 60 games, if we can get off to a good start, anything can happen. It's going to be odd. 60 games is short. And in baseball, it takes usually 162 games to see who the best team is, not a 60-game sample. So it'll be really interesting. We're excited. Each game will be like a playoff game.
You know, before you go, just to end where we began on last night in the first preseason game, obviously not many preseason games, were you able for a minute to separate yourself from your job and go back to being the fan that you were and luxuriating in the fact that a game was being played?
It's funny you say that, Jim. You know, I've been so fortunate. I grew up a mile from this place, and every single day I come in, it's been 19 years, I just take a quick snapshot with my eyes and think how fortunate I am to be inside of Fenway Park. So, yes, I was. It was strangely emotional for a meaningless exhibition game against the Toronto Blue Jays, just given what we've all been through. So it was very special, and the fan in me is really excited for baseball to get started.
Well, let me leave you with this note. I really miss Fenway, especially in hot weather. But here's my approach to the issue. Having 2 fewer sausage sandwiches during those 3 hours will probably cause me to live longer. That's how I'm approaching this. Sam Kennedy, good luck this season to all of you.
Great to be with you, Jim. Thanks a lot.